I'm off to Oakwood, Texas to work on a little piece of land that I've got. On the way there, I'm gonna stop and grab a skid steer from the Home Depot. I'm driving my Tacoma because my bigger Dodge Ram had a dead battery. When I went out to get it this morning, I threw a spare battery in there. But in my early morning sleep-deprived stupor, I put the battery in backwards, blew out my fuse box. So the Dodge Ram needs to go to the wiring mechanic. And as a result, I'm only gonna be able to rent the small skid steer because that's all I can tow with this Taco.
My property's a super private 5-acre tract that sits a couple hundred yards down a rough old dirt road. First, I'll clean up the road. Next, I clear the property, and for this clearing job, I just want to clear enough to give me space to drop my container cabin in there. I'll need a culvert to be able to pull this container in here. And even though I've never seen anybody drive down this road, I'll go ahead and gate this property, which already has a barbed wire fence around it. Now it's time for the cabin. I'll start by putting 4 8-inch footings in the ground to go under the corners of the cabin. When that's done, I'll drop the cabin on those footings, add the stairs that I built, reattach the rooftop deck, and put a new deck out front. I've got my Dodge back now, but the battery fiasco is far from the last bonehead move on this project. I had water in an ice chest to mix the concrete, but it all spilled out on that bumpy dirt road and soaked the concrete bags. Didn't take my desert brain too long to go find a creek where I could get some water. And now, a quick word from today's sponsor, Factor. For a long time, I've eaten peanut butter sandwiches for lunch, and I'm just sick of it. Factor solves that problem with delicious meals that are even easier to make than a sandwich. Factor has more than 80 rotating weekly meals. I've eaten a bunch of different chicken meals that I've never even heard of before that are all excellent. And they even have a new meal customization option that lets you select proteins and swap them in at no additional cost. For example, if you like chicken and hate pork chops, you can swap them for free. And no matter what you get, just a couple minutes in the microwave and you're ready to roll. These meals are also great at the job site. Now I get to employ all my favorite cooking techniques, open fire, propane, whatever it is. It's perfect for a quick and easy Factor meal. If you'd like to give it a try, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code CoyoteLabFB50 to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code CoyoteLabFB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Maybe share one with your old man while you're at it.
Today's the day I'm headed over to pick up a trailer to haul this container from my building site down to Oakwood. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm pretty damn nervous about it. All of the guys that move containers for me hate picking them up off the ground. And I just have a feeling that with my limited experience, it ain't gonna be easy.
This is a 22-foot tilt trailer with a winch. And I first found out about this rental outfit when I sold a 20-foot container to a guy who rented this trailer to move it himself. I'm honestly embarrassed to show this loading fiasco, which is going to be the third bonehead move if you're scoring at home. But I do take pride in the fact that I'm still wanting to learn new things, challenge myself.
Well, getting this container loaded up has turned into a bit of a struggle. I didn't quite have it angled where I had enough room to get the truck and trailer in. I got the trailer a little bit turned compared to where the container was.
I ended up dragging this thing halfway around my lot, damn near falling off the trailer, before I finally got it loaded up. And I didn't have the perfect chain for the job, so I wasn't able to pull the container all the way to the front of the trailer. But all's well that ends well, except...
Hello.
Yo.
What's going on?
Hey, I'm towing this container down and getting a lot of movement side to side in the trailer. Wanted to get your thoughts on what I ought to do.
You need more weight on the tongue of the trailer.
All right. I got a Home Depot coming up here. Yeah, I'll stop and get some concrete bags and throw them all up in the front. You ever had anything like this happen?
Oh yeah. One time I was pulling a little dozer on a trailer and the chain broke and it slid back against the ramps and it lifted the rear end of the truck up off the ground. You know, I've seen them before where they'll get to whipping like that and it turns the trailer over. And when it does that, then that turns the truck over. So I've seen some pretty nasty ones on the highway before.
Let me see if I can avoid that. All right, I'm gonna get after it. Wish me luck.
All right, good luck.
Thanks, man.
I've rarely felt so relieved to get where I'm going. I had added about 800 pounds of concrete to the front of the trailer, and that restored the color in my knuckles. Drop-off went smoothly, although I did miss my footings by about a foot in either direction. It's time for the stairs and the decks. And you might notice the lack of a hand railing on the stairs. That's something I thought about adding, but just haven't noticed a need for. And I like to be able to kick my feet off the side of the container, and so there's no railing around the deck either. "12 by 6 is a nice size for a container deck. It can be built with 12-foot boards with just a handful cut in half. And the vertical supports are 4x4 metal tubing, just what I happen to have laying around. I ended up running out of 12-footers, but had enough short pieces to make this work. I had enough extra material laying around that I decided to make a little awning to cover up the back window. And I can attach a gutter to that and collect rainwater if I decide to. If you've seen my stuff before, you know my finish outs can be pretty austere. Most of the stuff I use is salvage materials that I've found, Crate and Barrel outlet dumpster, or bulk trash week around the neighborhood. This will be a hunting cabin for me until I sell this property. And so I've got a really basic setup in here. My little girl is almost 3. I've taken her out to my building sites here and there, and her perception of land ownership is that you build a fire, listen to music, and sometimes you see animals. Incidentally, that's pretty much my perception of land ownership too. I'll hunt and camp this property for a while, and then I'll sell it. And I'll sell it to a buyer who doesn't want any neighbors, who wants some beautiful old pine trees. The buyer might be a container enthusiast, but probably not. But for not much more than I would sell the land raw, I've given that person a place to stay while they build something else, or a shell to style however they want to. So this little cabin will serve me, and then it'll be a nice little bonus to someone who wants a really lovely little piece of land.